All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0. You know I'm talking about Johnny Cuba. European roots of the Caribbean soul. Hey, tonight, Heat Celtics game one, a refreshing German lager in a can. That's how you want to kick back. That's how we kick back in the Zaslow Mansion family room. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny right now at your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. You always got to drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us here, Hollywood Joy Taylor from out there on the Pacific. Speak FS1 every day at 4:30. The big star of Speak on FS1. As she smiles, she wants to be super humble, but deep down inside, she agrees. She knows I am spitting facts. This is 100% truth that I'm saying. Hello, Joy. How are you today?
What's up, Zaslow?
I am excited because we are embarking here, Joy, on potentially the most exciting, intense-filled 2 weeks we have ever had in the history of South Florida sports. We have the Miami Heat getting going tonight, and every other day starting tonight and then beginning tomorrow is the Panthers and Hurricanes game one Stanley Cup Eastern Finals. It's every single day, alternating days for the next 2 weeks. We're so lucky that the schedule worked out like this. We have never, ever experienced this here in South Florida. I am so excited for these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Center of the sports universe. It's lined up perfectly.
It really is. Now, I know, look, you're all the way out there on the West Coast. You're not exactly a hockey girl from what I've been able to tell. Are you keeping at least a peripheral view of what's going on with the Panthers?
Oh yeah, totally. And I've completely reclaimed them, and I'm riding the wave with the Cats all the way. It's been an exciting postseason, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's amazing. It's so much fun what is going on. So I'm just so excited for everyone down here. When I say everyone, I mean myself. I'm so excited for myself because just these next 2 weeks is everything I've always wanted, you know? And I can't believe for the first time in a lot of our lives, well, first time in any of our lives, because it's never happened before, that we're getting this scenario. Anyway, so the Heat, let's start with the Heat. How nice is it that we never have to have the conversation ever again about the bubble? The bubble was real. You got the same four teams that are in the Final Four here, and obviously the Heat have been legit this entire time.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. That was a really annoying conversation to have. I will say over the past year or so, people have stopped referring to it as the bubble championship. Like they really rode that for a while. And look, we all know it was just jealousy. If that particular fan's team was there, they would claim it as a legitimate championship. They wouldn't call it a bubble championship or a bubble year. There's been shortened seasons for all kinds of reasons. And while obviously the circumstances in the bubble were the most unique we've ever seen in sports, so what? But yeah, the teams being back is obviously a testament to how legitimate it was, although it wasn't a question in my mind at any point. When it started, it was legitimate to me. It's just competition. Like, are there outside factors that can play a role? Sure. Is it nice to have fans there? Absolutely. The crowd noise, for sure. But at the end of the day, they're playing a sport, and I think people don't give players enough credit for their ability to compartmentalize the situation and focus on what the task at hand, and eliminates everything that's sort of happening around them. I mean, people I'm sure ask you what it's like to do a show, and do you get nervous? And if you do a live show in front of people, are you nervous? And like, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I'm not that nervous. I might be rattled because I'm in a new environment for a minute or two, but I'm not paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. So yeah, I think it's great. The conversation about the Heat is also very fun for me to have because, you know, the reality is this: if you're a Heat fan, you know how legitimate the organization is, and we sort of get overlooked every single year. I think people don't understand Jimmy Butler. I think they don't understand the value of the organization being as competent and consistent as they have been. And look, I think it's really nice that we're back in the Eastern Conference Finals so everyone can stop getting on my nerves about it, because it's not a conversation that's worth having anymore.
You know what's also one of my favorite parts about the Heat making it back to these conference finals right now is I've always hated the argument from Heat fans, the conversation of Pat Riley is failing Jimmy Butler in his prime years. When the reality of it is, and I don't actually feel this way, but the reality of it is, Jimmy Butler should be on his hands and knees thanking Pat Riley and the Miami Heat every single day, because before Jimmy Butler got here, he had done absolutely zero winning in his entire career. And now in his 4 years since coming to the Miami Heat, he's in the Eastern Finals 3 times and hopefully the NBA Finals 2 times. He's having by far the most success he's ever had in his career in the 4 years since he's come to the Miami Heat. So the whole conversation about Pat Riley has failed Jimmy Butler. Get the hell out of here.
Well, you don't have to tell me about Pat Riley. You know I'm a Pat Riley zealot. I think I see both sides of it. I'm sort of in the middle. I think Jimmy Butler was the Miami Heat were the perfect space for a player like Jimmy Butler to thrive. So that statement alone is in the middle of those two positions. I love Pat Riley. I think Pat Riley runs one of the best organizations in sports in the Miami Heat. I think Jimmy Butler is a dog and is an excellent postseason player and needed the right scenario and team that he could be the leader of, and that his energy and specific style would be appreciated and supported. Would I love to see one more piece with the Miami Heat? Yes, I would. But I also think that the Heat have enough as they're currently assembled, and they're missing significant pieces due to injury and are still here. So,
well, here's the funny thing to me. I'm glad you brought that part up, because here's the funny thing to me that I do like pointing out. Yes, Tyler Hero is missed. It would be really nice if Tyler Hero were playing. Who knows? If they get back to the finals, he might be available. We'll see. I don't know. But it's not like Tyler Hero is out and it's like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do with all those points and those shots? Well, you know what happened now? What has been happening now since Tyler's out? Jimmy Butler's taking all those shots. Jimmy Butler's the one who has the ball. It's not the worst thing. Like, they're better with Tyler Hero. Yes, but it's not that, oh my God, poof, he's vanished. Where are those 20 points? Jimmy's taking those shots now. That's a good thing.
Yes, because Jimmy is an excellent postseason player and he's making them. But the only thing that gives me pause about that is what we saw in the NBA Finals with Jimmy, which was pure exhaustion.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for him. So, but it hasn't happened. Everyone has stepped up in a big and major way. I'm a big believer in role players playing an essential part of championship runs. Obviously, we always focus on the superstars, but when you get into the nuance of any championship run, you will see the smaller stories of guys that don't get the glory, that step up in huge moments. And everyone has been doing that. I think the Lakers are experiencing some of that throughout their postseason, with role players stepping up in big moments. You know, obviously they're very top heavy, but you know, the Suns struggled from not having role players being able to step up and support their stars. It's just, I think that's what the Heat are built on, and they're a well-coached team and well-run team. So Jimmy taking those shots works because everyone else is falling into the space that they need to be in for the Heat to win.
How do you experience the games watching them? Like, are you anxious the entire game?
I try to let the game go as is for the early games in the series, because I don't like to be overly reactionary to game 1 and game 2. Unless the road team wins both games, I don't think you really learn that much. Like, we've seen that throughout the postseason. The beginning of series, as long as everyone gets to them healthy, like, the home team wins the first 2 games, like, okay, that's what they're supposed to do. And, you know, obviously in our position, we react to every game. So you can't, you know, kind of make them unimportant. And it's not that they are, but I just try not to get too reactionary to what happens early in series. Now, the game the other night, Friday night in Miami, was a different situation. I was losing.
Were you at the game?
And yes.
Oh, okay. All right. That must have been awesome.
Do you not follow me on social media, ZASLOW? What's going on?
I was sick last week. I wasn't 100% with it. Matter of fact, I'm glad the Heat and Panthers, too, for that matter, last week, they had a chance to both close things out Wednesday night, and it didn't work. And I was really sick in bed, and like I couldn't even have any kind of emotion watching it. So I was almost glad that both of them lost, and I got to get a little bit back to normal on Friday and enjoy both the teams then win on the same night. But I did not notice that you were at the game.
Yeah, I went to the game and it was awesome.
Yeah, the final minute was bananas.
Bananas, and I haven't felt that kind of energy in a building in a while. So,
I thought
really
Monica McNutt, who's a big expert on the NBA, says they don't even get loud in Miami. Like you could tell when leading up to that series and during the series, you put on ESPN, you could tell every one of these analysts who have not watched a single Heat game all year. You really can't. They may as well write it on their forehead.
I love Monica, and I'm not going to get into.
She's dead wrong.
Feud,
She's dead wrong,
and I'm not going to get into a feud with the other network about it. I don't do local anymore, so I can't get into it. What I will say is this: beating the Knicks in Miami was very, very satisfying. Like, I was very happy.
And can you tell me? I went to game 3.
Down.
I went to game 3 of the series. All right, the Heat smoked them. Can you tell me, in your opinion, in game 6, what was the percentage of Knick fans in the building? And then I'll tell you what I thought it was for game 3 when I was there, because there is this impression from, analysts like the one that I just mentioned there that it's 50-50 in that building. Go ahead. You tell me what the percentage was in game 6. Go ahead.
No, I mean, we know there are a lot of New Yorkers in Miami, obviously. It was not even close to 50-50. This not even close. I would say maybe 15% Knicks fans.
When I was at game 3, I said 80-20. Maybe 20%.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would give you 20, maybe. Maybe, but no, not even close to 50.
Not even close.
And I'm like, I can admit when Heat fans are being, bad representatives for the organization. I think we're very transparent about that.
There will be more Celtic fans at the games in Miami than there were Knicks fans. I guarantee it. There will be.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bigger contingent of Knicks fans in Miami, I think, than Celtics
they weren't at the games.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple Knicks fans right in front of me who were trying to go back and forth on every single shot, and I was like, "We're not doing this."
I'm not. I had that around me too, and like, I'm not here for any of this. You talk to your people, I got my people, and like, we don't interact.
No, they were nice enough, but I was like, no, we're gonna watch the game. But yeah, look. There's something about I don't know if you saw my rant the other day on the show on Speak about the Heat. But there's something about the Heat organization. I don't know what it is, but it truly bothers people, and it's very hard for people to just give the Heat their flowers. I don't know what it is. My theory on it is that people are still upset that LeBron went to Miami, and they haven't moved past this idea that Miami has been a struggle organization since LeBron has left. Like, guys, we're not the Cavs. It's not comparable. First of all, not only is it patently false, it's just a weird thing to say when factually it's that incorrect. Like, the Heat played against the Lakers in the NBA Finals. Have the Cavs been back to the NBA Finals without LeBron James?
Well, they made the playoffs for the first time without LeBron this year, for the first time in 20 years.
I mean, so
just made the playoffs.
But and some people would probably say that they had more faith in the Cavs moving further through the playoffs than the Heat. Like, the Heat are always here; they're always competitive.
Been running this conference for 20 years.
I just don't understand it. I fundamentally don't understand what the pause is. And I think it's just still there is some leftover bitterness, I guess, about the big three. It's the only thing that makes sense to me because it's just not, it's so unfactual. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like, why would you give at this point, like going into next year, right? Let's just skip through this postseason. Let's go to next year. How could you possibly like pick the Sixers to go further in the postseason than the Heat at this point?
No.
But people will do it. But people will do it. How could you have more faith in the Celtics than the Heat? Like a big gap.
No, there's no gap. There's no gap.
Who do you at the point in which the Bucks, the Heat did what they did to the Bucks, if you still don't understand what the Heat are doing, I don't know what to tell you. Like, well,
let's be honest here. You want to talk about the bubble and a fraud? The fraud in these 4 years has been the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, the Bucks. They won the championship in 2021, shortest offseason in the history of the NBA. All right, and they were able to go and then win the championship. In 2020, they flamed out in the bubble. In 2022, they flamed out in the second year. In 2023, they flamed out in the first round. The Bucks are the ones in these 4-year stretch, including the bubble. They're the ones that are the fraud. Let's be honest.
I mean, I think the championship people would push back because they did win the championship, but you're right that nobody mentions that it was coming off of the shortest offseason. Like, everyone wants to say something about the bubble, but nobody wants to say anything about the offseason. Yeah, I mean, look, it's fine. The Heat are perfectly comfortable being villains. Heat fans are perfectly comfortable being villains. It's just our way. I don't get too bitter about it anymore, but when I do get the opportunity to mention it, I always take it. I just think it's weird. Like, I mean, finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, like, did they forget? I think people just forget that they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
They're always exactly where they're supposed to be.
It was just last year. I don't know. I don't get it.
Were you surprised at the Doc Rivers firing?
No, I wasn't. I think 3 years, and I'm not really like a pro firing person. There were definitely some firings that have gone on around the league that were very confusing to me. Monty Williams doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You mentioned the Bucks. I don't know how you fire somebody who just won a championship 2 years ago. It feels very reactionary, even if it was a gentleman's sweep from the Heat. But Doc doesn't surprise me because when you're looking at that series and looking at what the Sixers have done over the past few years, like, obviously Embiid was not great in that game 7. And it's even worse compounded by the fact that they didn't close it out in 6 at home. But when you look at that game and like how it went, do you feel like Doc played no role in why they lost that game? Because I don't. Like, I don't think that they made adjustments. I think it's weird that you have Embiid out 30 feet away from the basket. Like, whether he can make that shot or not, that's not the matchup that you want to impress on the Celtics team. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So I don't feel like Doc is not at fault here. And also, the amount of times that Doc has not been able to coach a team to closing out a series is astonishing. So, the Sixers have underachieved. They have. Like, you can't have the league MVP and go out that way.
Every team he's ever coached has underachieved. Even the one that won a championship has underachieved.
Yes,
Everyone.
Yes, people would agree with that that team should have accomplished more. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think Doc is a bad coach. I think he'll coach somewhere else again. But I think the Sixers had to make that move. I mean, you have the league MVP. That's a very talented roster. They can't get over the hump. Like, how can you continuously do this? And I think that 3 years is an appropriate time to be able to implement your system, get the players in that you think work for you, and then execute. And they still weren't able to do it. So
you got a strong opinion on what's going on with John Morant here. I will tell you the one thing that I will say, because I really don't understand how there's any other opinion besides like he's obviously behaving like a total loser. But for me, the part that is so strange to me is, and I haven't heard this as much this time around, but certainly I heard it a lot 2 months ago. The first time this happened is, miss me with the whole, I hope Ja gets the help he needs. Like, how about, like, I hope that Ja doesn't shoot and kill someone because he always has a gun on him. Like, miss me with, I really hope that Ja gets the help he needs. I don't care.
Well, here's where I'm at with it. what are they really asking Ja to do? Like, let's get down to the bottom line here. They're asking that Ja does not go on Instagram Live and wave a gun around. I don't feel like that's a big ask. I think I'm a reasonable person. I don't like to be told what to do. They're asking you not to go on Instagram Live and wave a gun around. It's not a big ask. It's just not. It's not unreasonable.
It doesn't matter if it's your gun. It doesn't matter if it's legal. It doesn't matter if it was loaded or not loaded. It doesn't matter.
Just don't go live on the internet and wave a gun around. Not a big ask.
And then you get like the Second Amendment assholes where it's like, what about his Second Amendment right? He's not in prison. He's not being thrown in prison. But there are consequences at your workplace pertaining to your behavior.
I mean, people like that can't even spell Constitution. So to be honest, I really couldn't care less about what their
Second Amendment rights.
They would say the same thing about freedom of speech while being completely and utterly free. They don't understand they don't actually understand what any of those words mean. They're just spewing word vomits, and because they've managed to work in a word with multiple syllables, I'm supposed to respect what they have to say. They're fucking morons.
I mean, Joy, you can't go on Speak on FS1 and look at LaShawn McCoy and say, fuck you, motherfucker. And then you get fired from FS1 and you cry, what about my free speech? You're not in jail. They didn't put you in jail.
It's a very simple concept, I think, if you have any drop of intelligence. You are free to say whatever you want, meaning the government will not persecute you for what you have said. You are not free from consequences. Similarly, that gun may be legal. It might be legal for him to drive around with that gun. It's also not illegal to post photos or videos of guns. This is not a matter of legal or illegal. It is a matter of imagery and branding and representation of a league, billions of dollars, a brand, the league, and of the team that you play for. And beyond that, there's already been consequences for these actions before. So to your point, I look at it as, and this is why I don't call young people kids. At some point, you are an adult. Like at some point, we all agree 18-year-olds have lots more learning to do. You're going to make mistakes. That's fine. But at some point, you are an adult. He is 23 years old.
I think he has a kid.
He has a child. He has a child. So at some point, you cannot plead ignorance. You cannot plead that you didn't know what the consequences were. You cannot plead youth. You have chosen to do the one thing they're asking you not to do. Go on IG Live and wave a gun around. You can own guns. You can go to clubs. You can have friends. You can drive around in the car. You can go on IG Live. You can do all these things. It's just one request. And so, I mean, at some point, I just have to say, this is this person's choice. If I don't know this person personally, which I don't, I have to assume this is how they want to live their lives. Yeah. And so the consequences of whatever it is they do, they have clearly decided are worth these actions.
Who was it? Was it Shannon Sharp who said that he's hustling backwards? Was it Shannon Sharp who said that?
I mean, he's obviously hustling backwards, but is it coming out of your pocket? Like, no. Is this your family member? No. We care and know about him as an athlete that we admire and admire his talent. But he has to care more about his career and his money than we do. And obviously no one wants this to end in tragedy. But the other side of this for me is we live in a country that worships guns, adores, posts. Politicians send out Christmas cards with guns as big as me in them. It's all we care about as a country. It's our number one identifier internationally, gun violence. It is our goddess. So it's very difficult for me to figure out how we are supposed to tell someone not to have a gun, not to post a gun, when this is literally our brand as a country. So while I don't think Ja is making good decisions, I think he's making the decisions that most of the country makes. Mostly everybody is cool with this. Because if we weren't cool with this, we wouldn't live this way. Because more people would not like this behavior than do like this behavior, because we live in a democracy where people can vote to change things. And we have habitually decided we will live in terror for the rest of our lives rather than doing anything about it. So I'm very conflicted on how I'm supposed to like really be outraged over his behavior, because it's the same thing that everybody else does. And he clearly wants to do this regardless of what the NBA or the commissioner or his organization or his teammates or his mentors or anyone has to say about it.
Yeah. Joy, excellent job. Tell everybody how they can catch you, of course.
You watch Brunt Speak, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
Thanks, Joy. Appreciate you.
Let's go Heat!